There's a particular science to greatness, isn't there? To step beyond mere talent and enter the realm of the extraordinary requires a blend of skill, instinct, and something intangible. Call it charisma, magic, or genius. In the world of music, particularly rock, we've seen no shortage of contenders for the title of the best singer of all time. The debate has raged on for decades in pubs, on forums, and in late-night arguments. Everyone has their favorite, but what if science could settle it? What if there was actual data to prove that one voice stood head and shoulders above the rest? This is precisely the argument put forth by Professor Christian Herbst, who believes his research reveals the finest singer the world has ever heard. The findings point, unsurprisingly, to Freddie Mercury, the iconic frontman of Queen. Mercury's voice has been the stuff of legend for years, but Herbst's analysis digs into the mechanics of it, confirming that it wasn't just the charisma or the anthems, it was the voice itself, a biological marvel that put him in a league of his own. Freddie Mercury's vibrato is higher, and it's also more irregular, Herbst explained, noting that this irregularity gave Mercury's voice a distinctive fingerprint. For many, the notion of scientifically proving someone's greatness might feel strange. After all, isn't music deeply subjective? Isn't the magic of a great singer something you feel in your gut, rather than something you can quantify? And yet, the more Herbst explored Mercury's voice, the more he uncovered qualities that seemed to bridge the gap between science and emotion. His study, conducted with a team of researchers, looked at everything from the speed and range of Mercury's vibrato to the unique way his vocal cords functioned under pressure. What emerged was a portrait of an artist whose voice wasn't just extraordinary, it was practically unrivaled. Herbst's research delves deep into the mechanics of Mercury's vibrato, a subtle oscillation in pitch that gives warmth and depth to a singer's voice. Somebody. Most skilled vocalists, particularly in opera, maintain a vibrato frequency of about 5.5 to 6 Hz. Mercury, however, pushed past these boundaries with a faster vibrato that often hovered around 7 Hz. This alone would be remarkable, but what truly set Mercury apart was the irregularity of his vibrato. While other singers strive for consistency, Mercury's vibrato fluctuated in a way that added unpredictability and excitement to his sound. It wasn't polished, it was electric.
You brought me fame and fortune and everything that goes with it. I thank you all.
That kind of creates a very typical vocal fingerprint, Herbst noted, highlighting how this irregularity made Mercury's voice instantly recognizable. It wasn't just his vibrato that amazed researchers. Herbst also discovered Mercury's use of subharmonics, a vocal technique that's almost unheard of in modern pop and rock singers. This technique, more commonly associated with throat singing, involves the simultaneous vibration of the vocal folds and ventricular folds, producing a rich, resonant growl. Mercury's ability to harness this effect added an extra layer of depth to his voice, allowing him to transition seamlessly between delicate, falsetto-like tones and powerful, guttural roars. You can hear it clearly in tracks like Another One Bites the Dust, or the operatic section of Bohemian Rhapsody, where his voice seems to defy the limitations of anatomy. But while science can explain how Mercury's voice worked, it's the context of his performances that reveals why it mattered so much. For evidence of this, look no further than Queen's legendary Live Aid set in 1985. Widely considered one of the greatest live performances in rock history, it was a moment when Mercury's voice and charisma collided in spectacular fashion. Standing before a crowd of 72,000 people at Wembley Stadium and millions more watching on television, Mercury didn't just perform, he commanded. Every note, every gesture seemed to draw the audience in closer, uniting them in a shared experience that felt almost transcendent. The most famous moment of that performance is undoubtedly the AO call and response sequence, where Mercury engaged the crowd in a vocal back and forth that has since become iconic. It wasn't just a show of charisma, it was a demonstration of his unparalleled vocal control. Each syllable rang out with clarity and power, effortlessly filling the stadium and creating a connection that was as emotional as it was musical.
All we hear is Radio Gaga.
That's peak Freddie charisma, one critic later wrote, but Herbst's research suggests it was more than that. Mercury's ability to modulate his vibrato and use subharmonics gave his voice a unique resonance that made it impossible to ignore, even in a setting as vast as Wembley. Of course, it wasn't just his live performances that made Mercury's voice legendary.
But committed no crime and bad mistakes.
In the studio, he was equally fearless, pushing the boundaries of what rock music could achieve. Queen's recordings often layered Mercury's voice into intricate harmonies, creating a sound that was as lush and complex as it was immediate and visceral. The operatic grandeur of Bohemian Rhapsody is perhaps the most famous example, but it's far from the only one. Tracks like Somebody to Love and The Show Must Go On showcase Mercury's ability to move seamlessly between genres, blending elements of rock, opera, gospel, and musical theatre into a cohesive whole. But Mercury's greatness wasn't just about technical skill, it was about emotion.
It's a knife edge that I like to tread on, which is good. The danger element is exactly what we need.
He had a way of making every song feel deeply personal, whether he was belting out a stadium anthem or crooning a tender ballad. Consider Love of My Life, a song that showcases the softer, more vulnerable side of his voice. There's a fragility in his delivery that feels almost intimate, as if he's singing directly to you. And yet, even in these quieter moments, his voice retains a sense of power, a reminder that he could unleash its full force at any moment.
Love of my life, you've heard me.
It's this duality, strength and vulnerability, that made Mercury's voice so captivating. He wasn't just a great rock singer, he was a storyteller, using his voice to convey a wide range of emotions and ideas. Whether he was exploring themes of love, loss, or self-discovery, his performances always felt authentic, as if he was bearing a piece of his soul in every note. Herbst's study, in many ways, confirms what fans have always known. Freddie Mercury's voice was one of a kind, but it also offers new insights into why it resonated so deeply.
All right.
The combination of technical mastery and emotional expressiveness wasn't just rare, it was transformative. Mercury's voice wasn't just something you listened to, it was something you felt, a force that could lift you up, break your heart, or leave you in awe. Even now, decades after his passing, Mercury's voice continues to inspire and amaze.
But it's been no bed of roses, no pleasure cruise.
It's the subject of documentaries, academic papers, and countless tributes, a reminder of what music can achieve at its best. And while the debate over the greatest singer of all time will undoubtedly rage on, Herbst's research adds weight to the argument that Mercury stands alone. His voice wasn't just extraordinary, it was definitive, a benchmark against which all others are measured.